Okay. All right. Looks like we're good to go. So, you wanna count us down, Vlad?
Okay, give me like 10 seconds or so to sort out some things.
Just three seconds. 10 seconds, whatever.
Okay, okay, I count from five.
All
Five,
right.
four, three, two, one, go.
And
Hello, Cherry.
go. All right. So here we are. This is Celeste True Ending. We, the objective of True Ending is to complete Chapter 9, Farewell, from a new file. So it's going to be similar to Any Percent if you're familiar with the Any Percent speedrun, except we're also going to have to get some extra collectibles on the way. And then, of course, play chapters 8 and 9. So that's kind of what we're doing. So here we're just gonna get started.
Chapter 9 is a new chapter introduced by DLC on late 2019, and it's by far the biggest chapter in the game.
Yeah, yeah, it's
So the
way
main
longer than any of the other levels by a long shot. All right, so in Celeste, you'll see things move very quickly. So we have the main things we can do is we can jump, we can dash, we can climb, and we can do a whole lot of combinations of those things. So that is basically
and,
what this
and all
run
the
is
speed
like.
actually do is combination of these things. The main one is dashing downwards, towards going forward, and jumping, which is like hyper dash. It gives less height than normal dash, but it goes way farther. And with the way the dash refresh works, you can get your dash back before you can actually get off the ground, which means you are extending the dash or doing a large jump and while conserving your dash. And this is actually intended tech, as you're going to see during the run.
Yeah,
Right,
so
right now, that was a chapter one city, and lots of things happened. The main tech that also appeared a lot and could talk much at was corner boosting, which is while jumping into the corner, while jumping to the corner in such a way that we get more speed out of it without stopping to the wall. This appears a lot on the run, but it's in really subtle ways and it's hard to point out one by one. So this is chapter 2. It introduced ring blocks, which are blocks we need to dash to go through, and you go to the and you can do anything until you go to the end. And anything right through the wall is death. Speaking of death, try and dying is happens really fast. It really contributes to the hype, to the really fast pace of the run. And now the game produces switch coins, which are you get the switches and then the platform moves all the way. Really simple. Or you do that. This I like this. Thread. This is one of the first of the few examples of really large ones of like 10 per second, like, where it's really one time mistake can cost a lot of time. What?
yeah, some of those longer screens, like just any small mistake, especially if it's toward the end, you can just really slip up. And I guess I haven't taken any big deaths yet, which has been nice. But you can definitely, if you die in the wrong spots, you can definitely lose a lot of time. Especially true in like some of the later levels.
Store wise, Madeline was just in a dream, and then bad stuff the bad nightmare stuff happens, and now this just woke up. And now there's a section with no obstacle spikes. Then now we're going to resort with this. And then we're going to resort in the middle of nowhere where the key thing cycles. Like this. These dark things that are moving around, which are actually reskin spikes regarding the code of the game, right?
Oh, I missed it.
Oh,
Sometimes, yeah, if you wall bounce like right against the wall on the right there, you can just barely like go on the right side of it. It's really annoying.
and the game also introduced keys.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, the
Close
keys
to
are kind of
opening doors.
interesting.
Isn't kind of interesting the way they work the cycle? The key spinning cycle actually matters.
Yeah, like sometimes
Because-
they'll open the door sooner, or sometimes they'll open the door later, and that's like all depending on like the rotation of the key, like how quickly you're able to get to the door. Oh,
Okay, how quickly we are able to get to the door, starting from the moment you enter the screen with the key, since the rotation space through persists through rows. It's the rotation that determines when the exact door is going to open. So like a few frames time loss can be turned to 1 second time loss just because the key was not sided well at the right side. So this is huge mess. This is a huge hub. We have to clean all this mess by pressing these buttons. For sure, which is the hotel owner, and actually Ghost. And there are 3 hubs that there are 3 buttons that we can press in any order, but there is an optimal order for us here, which is the boxes, the books, or the towels. No. For true ending, there's a big difference on this compared to 20% because we are going to do the towels before the books, since we are going to get a crystal heart.
yeah. So we're
These are-
grabbing this heart because we need this for to play chapter 8. We need to get 4 hearts total. So that's the first one that we just got. And the reason why we get this one is because, as you saw there, when I did this save and quit, when I loaded back into the game, it put me on the upper half of that room, which lets me skip like playing like, I think like 2 extra rooms. I just skip those
We
rooms.
end up at the middle of the other section, the section of the books, since the
Yeah.
game doesn't put a checkpoint there.
Yeah, there was no
Why the
checkpoint
complete
there, so it
exit?
just put you on the upper half.
The upper half, which is the code that actually set checkpoints. So coming up is one of the most infamous tricks of the game, also plays the
Oh,
The
how did
dash.
he do that?
Oh, that was clean.
Dashing through spikes? What?
So basically, we do a crouch and a dash at the same time, which makes Madeline dash with a crouch hitbox. And when she does that, she has a 4 pixels tall hitbox, and just so happens that most of the spikes, and reminder that these things, which are dust bunnies, are risking spikes. Most of them are spaced 4 pixels apart, which means we have a pixel per. There's a 1 pixel window where you can just go to spikes, like like nothing, not exactly nothing, but yeah. And this is a trick that was discovered like late 2018. For a good portion of the game's history, thought it was just going to be used to go to spikes. And for archery runs, just this one particular, since it's the one that saves a lot of time, there's a checkpoint right next to it. But there's actually a lot of applications to the trick of dashing while doing it, of dashing while crouched. And lots of subtle ones even. So this is Golden Ridge, and this is all about wind, pushing you back and forward. The way wind works in this is that whenever you are dashing, the wind does not affect you at all, which allows you to go much faster than if we're doing just walking instead, and makes speed conservation even more important.
All right, we're
For example, I think
gonna grab this heart.
Okay, and this is another detour for the hearts.
Nice, second try, pretty good. So
Yeah,
that's
second
the
try pretty
second
good.
heart that we're getting.
The movement there's kind of finicky.
Nice. And then up here we got tricky room right here as well. Let's see if we can get this. Nice.
Nice. So there was a block at the top left where we're supposed to grab it, to activate it, and then ride to it to get to the gap, but it's really slow. We call that, so we do that trick that using a ceiling pop, which is a wall grab right at the corner at sub-pixel precision. Make us instant fall, but with a jump, little jump. And there's a second one, but it's much harder. I'm going to mention about when to talk about more applications of dash and jumping. No, dashing and crouching. One of them is doing a hyper dash, which is a dash that normally was supposed to only do diagonally down, but can do it while also going straight to the left or right. Which allows us to do a hyper, some tricks like doing hyper dashes from the air where going to diagonal down reach. And just I was saying, after through this, a lot of things happen. This stage is over. Yeah, it's really hard to complete this game.
Nice. That was
I try my best.
very good Golden Ridge right there. Very good Golden Ridge.
Yeah, that was it. Good.
Yeah. All right, so now what? Chapter 5. Oh boy, here we go. Okay, so chapter 5. This is where things start to get interesting in terms of the routing. So far, we've just been playing the A sides, but here we're actually going to play the B side, which is basically every level has 3 different difficulties of it: an A, B, and C side, and the B side is more difficult than the A side. But
these are shorter levels, but much harder.
Yeah.
Not as an extra content. But there are 2 things. There are 2 reasons we are going to do the B side here. Oh, first of all, we need to find the cassette hidden into the level, and then we have to complete the B side. This is a nice little skip involving the cutscene.
nice.
And this is a nice little corner boost you can do, getting momentum from the block. What these blocks do, first of all, is they only start moving when dash. These are called dash blocks, and they allow the game to have really tricky puzzles or ways to build speed, or ways for us to build speed. So there are 2 reasons we're going to do the B side here. First of all, is that non-optimal. The B-side route is actually faster. The funny thing is, if we complete the B-side, we actually get the A-side on the next level unlocked. And second of all, whenever you complete a B-side, you get a crystal heart. It's a red crystal heart, but it counts towards unlocking 4. So it's another big reason we do this. Coming up with one of the other famous tricks of this. Nice. Other famous tricks of this run. The bug drop. It saves a lot of time because it uses the checkpoint manipulation we're talking about in the resort part. And this and it's a trick that's like a 2 frame. There's like 4 frames press about the 2 keys for timing, and missing costs a lot of time because you cannot go back, have to restart the level. So this is really famous for clean runs. So now we're going to the second half of temple. Suddenly the temple is much darker and the spikes are all painful and such, which would have been explainable to the story, but we skipped that part of the story, and this is an extra content that we're just supposed to do after everything else in the story. So story-wise, nothing going to make sense. Like, what is these creatures we call seekers? Which is oh, and this is Phil, which is an NPC we meet throughout the stage. Suddenly he's engaging to increase, so we have to carry him around to save him. And the really cool thing about it is that whenever you grab him, your momentum is conserved. Whatever speed you get when grabbing him is conserved. So it allows you to build a lot of speed, and then use jumping to build even more speed when you grab him. And that was really quick.
Nice.
Really good tempo.
Yeah, pretty good tempo. All right, we're on a roll.
That was 211.
Yeah, now we're on to chapter 6. This is probably the hardest chapter. This one we also play the B-side. The B-side for chapter 6 is really hard. And also, as you'll soon see, the strat that I'm going to do to get to the cassette tape is also very hard and, well, very cool. So let's hope I get it. Nice, and we got the lake skip too.
There are no collectibles for this level outside of the heart of the cassette. The chapter 6 is part of most of the categories of this game, but it's a really hard level with lots of 20-second run rules where if you die, you have to go right at the beginning. With really finicky stretch. Okay, quite it.
Not quite. That's okay. So yeah, what I was trying to do there was basically use the Kevin block. Basically that was the block. The Kevin block is the block that I dashed into that started moving to the side. I was trying to use that in combination with my dash to just get a ton of speed. And you can basically use all that speed to just launch yourself straight to the cassette. I didn't quite get it though.
But it was so low to the ground that it turns to a normal hyper dash, which it has fixed speed. Alright, so this is chapter 6 B-side. You can see that the spike gaps are a lot smaller here. As this is not meant to be played right through the main story. It's like difficult, much harder than anything on A-sides. At least until Feral, I don't know if Feral counts as an A-side. For example, there are strats that makes this even harder, like that dash through that jump through the other side of the bunker. All these new things are bumpers, which is pretty simple. You hit them, they bounce you back in the same direction, and there's something extra you can do with this bumper boots, which is bouncing back on them right at the center of them, like straight left or straight right, while facing backwards and moving backwards, which gives like double the speed, and allows you to skip lots of things to, on top of making things even harder for us. So same thing is just falling down to this, like chasing this giant hair, this dark purple hair, which is better line the shadows that were chasing us in all sides. And this running section, since you are always falling down, always press forward as much as possible, but that makes things even more precise. And this is another dash to start with demo, crouch dashing or demo dashing. So now near the battle line fight, start fight. They're going to finally fight back against battle line. You just have to touch them. Okay. And
yeah,
the ground.
This section's really tough.
And the ground and sparks, some of them are going to move as according to when you do hits first. For example, this is a cycle speed. That's really cool to see. It keeps going down to the feather. Seems like this allows to really cool strats, but really makes this already hard chapter much harder. So, and now the chapter is going to take 10 to 15 seconds, only 10 to 15 seconds long screens. If just tricks like this, and missing any of them is likely is a huge time loss. Like I use the dash refresher here to skip a part of the level, the screen. And this is another speed conservation trick. Another thing is that whenever you hit a bunker, there is a cooldown for it to affect you again. So if you hit a bumper from the side and then immediately dash it to it, the cooldown runs as soon as you go to the other side, so you can use that to go to the dash to get bumped to the other side if the bumper boosts even barely. And this one is a unique common one here because it's 17-18 seconds long with feather movement. Never got to experience feather movement too, since things happen too fast. But it just uses analog or digital controls to control the movement of the feather, and that at the end would say that another neat trick with corner boosting, where the wall doesn't stop us because the wall briefly disappears as soon as we do the corner boost. And right away you're at summit. Finally climbing the mountain. We have 2 dashes as a result of winning the battle against battle line, which is also explained to the story on the A side, but we skip it to all that. So for now we can just know that we have 2 dashes, and this allows for much different level design and movement tricks.
Yeah, Summit's really cool. Getting the 2 dashes, you'll see it's kind of like we're going back through each section of the game. This is like the city type section, and just kind of playing with all those mechanics. And I really like this level.
Another thing is at the end of every section we get battle line words. Battle line is trying to help us by giving us the 4 boosts at the end of each section to advance further and further into the mountain. And and the minor skips don't stop there. like like doing a corner jump, that small corner on the right, to activate the zipper earlier. Big part of the optimization of this game is getting hundreds and tons of these minor half a second tricks. It's basically a game you are playing at global fitness speed, something like that. Another thing, dashing through big blocks with two dashes is not much easier because there are tricks they can do, like doing hyper dash to right out of the green blocks, which normally wouldn't help much because we don't have a dash afterwards, but now we have. And just like that, it's over. So now we're back to Auto from 1500. This is another dash with spikes where it just so happens that at the top of the height of the hyper dash, it's possible for us to go through the spikes. So there's much more lenience than to use. These short runs are major killers too, because they have really obnoxious death cycles, which like when you die, you respawn. You take like half a second to respawn. Just this half a second makes the cycle we have to do much more different. Nothing harder, since there are many screens on this game that are designed around you entering it from another screen to make it more speedrun friendly. And now this is 2000 meters. The wind and the bubbles are back. And speed conservation. Oh, and this is another outsource tip where you just ignore the blocks and then you have this to go through this and then we go to the terrain without spikes, so we don't need to wait everything while riding the block. Chapter 4 is known mostly for its auto scrollers, which is with these moving blocks, moving blocks, and skipping many of them is really good for us. Another application of crouch dashing here, as you can see, is getting through small obstacles that are not necessarily spikes. So you have crouch to hitbox. And 2500 meters is another one killer. Because there are also many really finite tricks. And right here we are going to skip going downwards to the key to get the key with the bubble downwards and then fight against a really tight cycle. Oh, and that's another trick you can do with demo dashes, which like if you're crouched when you enter bubbles, for some reason the game raises level line 2 pixels up, and that's enough to make some things that would look impossible possible. Like some of the tricks sound too hard.
That was a nasty. I was trying to multi-boost there. I don't ever miss that one.
Yeah.
That was really unfortunate.
Yeah, it's same with me. They never miss that except in matters. I was explaining that raising the bubbles raising us 2 pixels up makes some needle tricks otherwise be possible. So this is 3000 meters, the final special from this summit, which is they plus 30 flags checkpoints, and then we are We are counting our way towards the summit after flag 1. And now the wind is going downwards. From our movement up and making us and make the button and make the action per minute much faster. So that's much more frequently. And now magically the wind is dashing upwards. It's going to make us a lot closer. And make some weird tricks like that. The flag 17 was possible. That was another false dash foot done diagonally upwards, which actually requires different motions than doing just a normal devil dash. This strategy for touching another famous here becomes smoothly. And now I think there's a bit of technical issues and not much news happening.
Alright, we're on the home stretch here of Summit.
Yeah, we can talk to them now. So this is now the home stretch, the next 5 flags, where the wind stops and now it's just straight to Celeste for me. And there's a big risk that you're going to accidentally skip these flags when not touching the ground when you're passing through them, which means that if you happen to die later on, you're not going to be respawned at that flag, which makes 7-second death turn to 20-second deaths or so. Fortunately, it doesn't happen. So now this is the flag 1. This is actually really much harder than Noxus of Night looks. The flag 1 specifically, and that's the summit. That's not the end of the run because they're doing 2 ending, and our goal is to complete chapter 9.
Yeah, so we got the 4 hearts that we needed. One from chapter 3, one from chapter 4, and then the 2 from playing 5B and 6B. So we got the 5 hearts, or the 4 hearts rather, and we will be able to get past the door here in core. So now here we are on chapter 8.
And the main gimmick of chapter 8 is that because the power of the monkey or something like that, we're not going to get our dashes back when touching the ground, other things. So the only thing that can refresh our dashes is screen transitions or another, or
one of these crystals, yeah.
Which means getting as much speed as possible from each individual dash is much more important now.
Yeah, you have to plan much more cautiously where you're gonna dash on this level, just because you can't always get them back in the same spots that you could otherwise.
That little skip up gives the introduction for the fire and ice the fire and ice transition here, and saves like 30-35 seconds of backtrack, of going to get the first switch and then backtracking.
Yeah.
Another thing we can do with these blocks, these are core blocks, so in Fire and Ice they behave completely differently. In Ice they just slowly fall down and then break, but in Fire mode they give us a big impulse. And the thing can do it with Hyper Dash right at the end of the big impulse to get much more speed. And in getting this down on the one opportunity you have is very important. It's even more important since you don't have to dash it back. We can see here another thing, even more. Sorry, it's really confusing. Another thing you can do is the walls, the special core walls, which also have different behaviors on Fire and Ice. so far they drag us up and they can combine them that between wall mouse that's like dashing up and then jumping to a wall to make our dash better. Dash much stronger. It's actually in the mechanic of the game. It's actually something that the game tweaked cheapest to one of the B-sides. There was now a lava chase. Reports that now the lava chase is in both directions, the lava and ice. And you have to alternate the core switches to control the level of either the lava or the ice. Not let it get too close from the center. And now we're getting to the end of core, and it's going to introduce feathers again. There's another thing between that feathers also with special dashes. So easy. And this is the cassette, and we have to dash something part of the room so we never get really good visual then. And then we are barely able to get past this cycle. This is the B side, which we're not going to read this side. And this is a short session when we get to the actual for the mountain and get some speed and then get the heart, and that's core completed. Which means now I have access to chapter 9. Farewell.
Yeah, so this right here, this is the last level. It's a very long one. It's hopefully if we play well, it'll be about 16 minutes.
If you thought Summit was long, this is much longer. The story behind this is that Granny, a character that has been helping us throughout all the climbs of the mountain. A few years later, she's dead, and now she's dead, and now Madeline's trying to chase her into the sky to properly give goodbye. Farewell. First thing now is that you don't have 2 dashes anymore. So to have 2 dashes, we have to get the purple crystal refreshers, which gives us 2 dashes instead of 1. And in some sessions like this, we have to conserve these 2 dashes in order to use them to reach places that will not be accessible to one dash. And this chapter also includes puffer fishes, which are fish that behave much like the seekers, except they don't kill us, and they bounce us, and they explode and bounce us around it, get too close, come downwards, at the cursors that appear when we are close and flying, like that. And they can also interact with another thing that they can also interact with strings. The explosion can actually follow switches. So now another game mechanic that the game introduces here are jellyfishes. They're going to use as parachutes. And just like Phil from before, when you grab a jellyfish parachute, we conserve our momentum we had before going to it, so you can use to build it, so you can build it speed, and then you can use it to conserve speed better. And this route here is a route that the desert adds to speedrunners. So these are interesting parts. The path forward is locked behind 5 locked doors. They're supposed to do puzzles. Don't figure out how to get to that electricity source that you just destroyed. But when you carry the jellyfish, we can skip big parts of it, like the entire section with the five keys.
Yeah, that skip saves like a couple minutes.
5 separate rooms. What were you saying?
Saves like a couple minutes because you don't have to get all the keys.
And always remember that everything is more cheerful except the platform that's got much harder.
Yeah, this is like one of the hardest parts of Farewell right here.
Not only is already hard, and they are also doing many infinite skips. Like even dashing through spikes like the ones we're doing later on.
I don't know how that didn't work. That was weird. That's okay. We were trying to just go under the door there, but that's fine. We can go around it.
Yeah, it's not in every tunnels because it's right at the beginning.
Nice. That room I just did there can be very problematic, but we got it first try.
Yeah, the first rushes can be kind of cool sometimes because they are always slightly waiting around, and that actually affects when the timer is going to hit them. So now there's a nice little skip. Definitely this skip we're going to do with demo dashes, and this is another neat skip. The game intended to carry the no, I'm going to explain that later because there's for this stuff now. So this door here is supposed to only open with 15 hearts, but we can skip it by just being fast enough to go through it before it falls. And that's the reason we get only 4 hearts for this category instead of 15. And now the game gets much harder because it's giving us tutorials for hyper dashing and mob bouncing again. And so now the game is going to factor this when designing for casual solutions for the streams. And as always, the screens get much longer.
Yeah, so these are where the screens start to get pretty long. So like some of these ones coming up, like if you take a death here, like the time loss can just be like insane. So they can be like pretty hard for speedruns just for that reason. Just because like really costly. But hopefully we won't get any of those.
Especially the end of the chapter.
Oh, really?
They're not even halfway through, don't worry. Oh.
Really? That was weird.
And as you can see, we're talking about 6 speed, despite that getting much tighter. Now they're even tighter.
All right, I'm gonna go for a bit of a difficult strat here for fun.
Yeah, this is the infamous pendulum.
Yeah, let's go.
But this is a nice little difference, and they skip most of it.
That's very hard to do.
And this is a 30 seconds long one where you absolutely do not want to die in the end. And
yeah, dying here is really bad. But
it's like we're really close from the bird that represents training. We are following it, even though we briefly got ahead of it. And this is another something you can do with the moon blocks, which are blocks that are slightly folding up and down and reaction dashes, which is like we dash upward, we dash in the direction in a way that we also snap up. So it to propel the block forwards, and that movement forward it gives that extra momentum and hyper. In this case, double hyper. And these are called moon boosts, and they can lead to extremely ridiculous momentum boosting. This is another nice skip to not needing to go to all the way back to this point. There's another nice speedrun thing that skip here we can do with this any momentum from this block to go below that falling block all the way around it. This corner is kind of long. We don't.
It's okay, better than dying. That can be a really nasty
Fortunately,
screen.
it didn't go super long. And now the wind's back. The need detail for this level is that there's a black hole in the background. It actually moves according to the wind direction. It moves around the screen. So now the really long ones continuing. At the end of the screen, there's a screen transition we're supposed to realize we're actually going to. We're actually supposed to go, but just to that, it's really common to just die at the very end and then you're supposed to do actually the. Oh, I like that strat.
Yeah, that strat's really cool. I almost messed it up, really but cool. I backed it up pretty well.
There's another 20-second long screen, which is all feather movement with the wings altering everything. And then there's some speedrun thing that shortcuts, like that one that saves 3 seconds. It doesn't look like 3 seconds, but actually saves that because we're activating the wind back trigger later.
Yeah. It's like if you go on the top, the wind is fighting you, but if you go on the bottom, the wind helps you.
So this is Stubbornness. If you all miss the cassette music and the timing blocks, Stubbornness is all about it. Except there's not 4 colors. And then a needful thing that you haven't have time to comment is that it has to follow the music. And the trick of this game is that whenever Madeline dashes, there's a 3 frame window where everything freezes, even the timer. And since the timer blocks, these timer blocks cannot stop because they follow the music. That means they keep going fast. That means that we can get to their cycles faster by just playing dash. Each one is a 3 frame time loss. This one is a really punishing. It's a really complicated and punishing dash thing because this keep we're doing, and we are out of stubbornness. So this is the moment where I actually finally catch the bird, and now I'm going to escape from this. Everything's falling apart and stuff. And there's more skips, and now the rules start to get really long. And now I have to break the electricity box to get the electricity. That instantly kills us out of the way. And you have cooperation of both the light from the orbs and the bird, giving us impulses. Alongside every single gimmick I have seen so far into the game. And again, some of these are set up in such a way that they look like intentional speedrun tests put out there by the developers. I'm trying to talk fast now. And this section, and the combination of this makes like this section really nerve-wracking for speedrunning, or just for deathless speaking, sure. And now every move is like at least 10 seconds long. Absolutely do not want to die here. Even though the stick timing things are already there in this stretch that abuse really tight cycles are still there. Like this one, barely possible. Another thing we didn't comment much is multi-boosting, which is like Oh, don't do that. My bad. Multi-boosting, which is like spamming wall jumps into a block moving backwards, which means you get speed boost and every time we wall boost of it, wall jump of it, which means a really big speed boost out of nowhere. This is a speed running strat that is really finicky and costs like 15 seconds if lost, if missed. So this is going to be the tune, everything, the rest of this run. Long feather section with some platforms. Really tight deck gets. This one has a 6 skip. We'll go below the. We'll go below the electricity source and skip one cycle of going to bed and line in the birds. And now we are finally nearing the end of the run in farewell. All that's left is a 2 minutes long run because of course. Do you have anything for the Moonberry, by the way?
I'm actually thinking about not doing the Moonberry because this is like probably the best farewell I've ever done in a run. I kind of just want to finish it.
That's ILPB pace. Oh, that's
no,
cool.
I don't think it's ILPB, but oh, that was close. Okay, I think I can get a 15-20 something maybe.
So if there's a Moonberry extension, we'll just finish normally and then do the same thing, Sandy.
We can still get the Moonberry, but I think I'm gonna finish it.
Wait, I have to ask Senna one half time. Is there a Moonberry extension? Do you have to do a Moonberry here?
Well, you could like debug to the power box.
Oh, this is a really, really strong farewell, yeah.
Actually, I don't know if this is quite... We can just get the Moonberry. I think it's like... I think my best is 1537, and I think that this would have been 1537 or 6, so...
Oh, farewell.
Really good farewell, though.
Yeah. So,
but, yeah.
Instead of going right and finishing our run straight away, we're going left and going through all these platforms. Intention position for this alternate route, where we are going to get the Moonberry, which is a hidden collectible. Also, we still don't have a checkpoint, so the shot dice here is a 2 minute time loss, which is really scary too.
Yeah, dying. Now we got a checkpoint. But up until that point, if I died, I would have went back like 2 minutes basically.
But now I have a checkpoint at least.
Yeah. But so this, you'll see the collectible we're gonna get here. This isn't technically part of True Ending, but it's a little fun thing to do at the end of the run. So the True Ending run would have finished at the final power box before I went back to the left.
Nice buffs drop, by the way. That's much harder than the buffs drop on Muir Temple beside, because the floor is much lower to the ground. And this is a 2 minute long room or 1.5 minute long room. That's also much harder than anything that's mandatory for the game. It's like a final challenge of sorts. It's what makes the Moonberry really good. Nice collectible. Let's go after. We still don't have a checkpoint. And losing this jellyfish would be really troublesome. That's it. And now there's a long time, but there's a Moonberry, and get ready on timer.
Oh, and that's time.
That's time.
All right, Celeste True Ending with the Moonberry. 54 minutes. Celeste is done by game time, so I think the game time is around, what, probably 48 or 49? But good stuff, good stuff. That was a really good run.
We skipped the last cutscene where he finally meets Granny, and then
Yeah.
Madeline wakes up and all.
Yeah.
49-13.
49-13 with the Moonberry. Yeah, that's a great run. I think without the Moonberry, I didn't actually really look at the timer. I think it would have been like a mid 47 or so. So definitely, really good run. Yeah, that was a good run. GG's.
As I was mentioning in the chat, this might be actual Moonberry records.
Oh, I don't know.
I have to take a look at that.
I know that record's not like super necessarily optimized, or at least not as optimized as a regular farewell record, but I doubt it, because like I don't.
And this is the one. And if you go back to the chapter selects, to the file select screen, there's a nice bird stamp to show that we have completed farewell.
Indeed. But yeah, I think the ridge and the temple were like really good in that run. Really happy with how those went.
And resort was nice too, right?
Yeah, resort was okay. Like I think the start was maybe like a little wonky, but I mean like ridge and temple were like super solid. But overall, yeah, that was a pretty good run. Like I said, I think without the Moonberry, it was like a mid 47 time, which is really good. So, good stuff, guys. Well,
so thanks for having us.
Yeah.
And coming up next, we have Walk by Pill 2. I hope you enjoyed the marathon, the rest of the marathon. And any final words, Shai?
Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out Fladervy over at twitch.tv/Fladervy for some Celeste and other speedrun related stuff. And, you know, me too. I also stream Celeste. Twitch.tv/Chaikitty.
I haven't told that.
Sorry, what was that?
That take a break of Celeste to proper take care of my hands. So I can come back in 100% later on in a few months.
For sure. Definitely good plan. But yeah. Is there anything else cool / fun to show off in Celeste? I mean, Celeste is a very cool game. There's lots of cool stuff. Ogmo. We could go to Ogmo.
I thought thinking about the childhood intrusive personal maps.
Yeah, so this is in Reflections A side. We skipped this level by doing the B side. There's this little secret up here, and it's full of a bunch of characters from other games, from what is now Extremely OK Games, Map Mix Games. I'm not familiar with all these characters, but I know Ogmo, of course, everyone's favorite.
And I know the Raccoon's characters from Towerfall.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to showcase, or do you want to pass it off to the next one? I think that's probably it. But yeah, this is just a cool little secret room. There's some other secrets and stuff too, but I like this one because, you know, who doesn't love Ogmo, right? Love to talk to Ogmo.
Yeah, who doesn't? Oh, the intro. There's the intro card. There's a lot. Farrell has a lot of secret Easter eggs. Actually, we don't want to show them if we have time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess that's gonna be it. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for having us. This was fun. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the marathon.